Hey all, it's Brian here from quantmatlabs.net. Just wanted to continue along with our quant analytics service here. I've added two new sets of charts that you should know about. Uh, they're both the same, really, but I had to split these up because of basically the charts I'm about to show you came from the same data source from the U.S. Fed at their Federal Reserve research data, whatever. Um, but they've discontinued some of the data, specifically the manufacturing, which is kind of important. So I'm hoping to improve these, but this is just for the initial outset, just because of how it seems that this data sets get changed around quite a lot. So obviously I'll have to maintain them. But let me just show you the first set. This is the manufacturing charts. So as I said, government manufacturing charts with the data time or the date or the current date. So here you just download it, all right, and then all you got to really do is just obviously I'm assuming you know how to do this. So all right, so it's a zip file, and then you get a bunch of files in here. Now what they are is we have the PMI composite, manufacturing new order index, manufacturing new order index as well, inventory index, import index, and custom inventories index as well. So this one's pretty straightforward. Again, this data comes from Quandl. So here we are, just showing you the data set. Here's the name, no title needed, from 2007, and it shows you a fairly rough visual gauge of how the manufacturing is doing. It's coming back, but it's been grinding down obviously since 2014. So if you need the data, here's the CSV. They've been conveniently added. So it's just basically the date as well as the index itself. All right, so let's go to the next one. This is now going to get really wonky, just again because it's how it's tried to manipulate it in a better way from Quandl. Doesn't seem to be the case, so this is going to get kind of strange. So in here we've got something called a diffusion index. Now this is again the manufacturing new order index. So what you really want to follow is this pink line, this one right here. Unfortunately, the way this has been built using both Python and Quandl, I tried to, looks like it has, just to trace only the data from 2007. So the real one that's really useful is this pink line. And again, I've included the CSV. You know, all this data, other data, is maybe useful for some, but all you care about is this one, the diffusion index. Okay, so I'm not going to go into detail of the data itself, but I'll just show you the export orders. Really, not a whole lot going on there. It's been kind of flat, and that's the export. Actually, when you look at that, you know, with now in coming up to 2017, you know, with China threatening to uh, kill off the sales of or exports and imports into China, I mean, it doesn't really look like it's going to really affect the American uh, export because it hasn't really changed a whole lot in the last little bit, but maybe it may decline to something like this. As you can see here, that's going back to 2008 during the manufacturing or during the financial meltdown. That's why I included these all the way back to 2007. All right, so now we got the inventories here. when it goes down, that's a good sign. As you can see here, that means that they're being sold off. As the oversupply on manufacturing is definitely going down. That's good. So again, we just keep an eye on the pink line here. As I said, we have the raw data here. This is the imports. It's gone up. And then this is the custom inventory index, steadily climbing. All right, so that's that with the manufacturing. All right, so the other one comes from the Fed. And this one is a lot more straightforward. So if you just download, as usual, using Firefox here, as you can tell, here's the zip file again. We expand it. So here, we've included it. Included everything, actually. All right, so we've already got the manufacturing in there, but let's go through in order of how this is displayed. So here's a chart. It's a PNG file. So continued claims, uninsured, under unemployment, insured unemployment. So as you can tell, it peaked in 2008 and it's been dropping, and it's been pretty low since the 70s, which is good. Again, we've got the raw data. Again, this is from the Fed, Fred. Okay, so here's the durable orders. Here's the data. Here's the it's been flatlining. These are hard manufactured products. U.S. For cars and airplanes are the big ones that I've seen in Bloomberg News. So you can see here it's dipped and it's coming back, but it's probably for the last 2 years it's been fairly low. I don't know what this is. There's got to be a bug of something, just this kind of peaked up like that. I could never explain that, but that's from the data. Okay, so we've got the GDP. Now you can see the GDP has been steadily going up, which is good. Again, raw data. This is now the production index. Industrial production index. It's dipped a bit, not a good sign. Yeah, that might be some kind of warning sign right there, even though the economy is pretty hot. Okay, let's look at the other ones. So industrial production business. So again, it's just been, a little dip, flat line coming back. Again, if you need to know the details, always got the data here. So I've hinted. There's the date as well as the data itself, percentage of change if you want. So you can see the data and how it's doing. Just been flatlining for the last number of years. Well, not flatline, but it's been fairly stable, and it dipped in, I guess here, August 2012. Okay, so let's see what this one is. Okay, we looked at that. Industrial production, durable consumer goods, dipped, and it's been steadily climbing, which is good. That's a good sign, actually. What do we got here? Industrial production, manufacturing, NAICS, stabilized, but not increasing. Production materials, declining. Those are usually material goods, like for input. Industrial production mining, down, not good. To 2013. Now that could be maybe coal. So new orders. Oop. Is So here's some data for that. And then here we have new order non-defense capital goods excluding aircraft declining for the last year. So you can see what you hear in the news doesn't necessarily mean it's good news, because when you have these sort of declines, and there hasn't been decline since 2007, and it's already started declining sometime, I'm going to estimate late 2014, but again, you got the data to verify that. Non-farm private payroll employment. Wow, what a drop from 2003, 2013. Private housing units authorized building permits. So basically that's a housing market coming back, but nowhere close to where it was even in the mid 90s. Yeah, so that may be the big driver now over the next few years, because manufacturing is starting to slow down. But obviously it depends on the job market. Okay, we've talked about the PMI. University consumer sentiment. This is really important, because here it's dipped again, and then slowly, steadily climbed back, dipped, and somewhat back and forth in how consumer feels about their spending. Again, unemployment rate we talked about. So you can see it may be bottoming here and maybe going back up. We don't know. So again, this data is very useful for to confirm things instead of listening to the news. A wide, broad spectrum of what's happening in the U.S. markets. Very important to gauge on the health of the U.S. economy and what's going on in pretty well all aspects. And again, all this data is forward-looking, so keep that in mind, and hopefully this will help you out in your searching and research.